Dear Diary, we have got through January nicely today, backing up wins over Everton and Stoke with 3 more. 2 of those were very comfortable over Blackpool and Stoke again, before it took a late Keonatite goal to get a result away at Wigan. That means we are 10 points clear on top of the table and 15 clear of the playoff zone. Happy times, Bartley. Coming up, we take on a resurgent West Brom at home in the league before an FA Cup 4th round tie at Birmingham. I'd like to think we can win both of those either side of deadline day, where some business could take place as Sterling, Mateju, Patterson and Dida all have handed in transfer requests. We'll see what happens and if we get a chance to freshen up the squad. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 52 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on West Brom in the Championship prior to January deadline day, where something could happen if we can find a way to sell one of those players who are transfer listed, and then off the back of that we are going to continue our journey in the FA Cup and what does look like quite a winnable game away from home against the team in the relegation zone in the Championship in Birmingham. So if you're looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we have played a couple of games off the back of those 2 that we did show you, as well as the one in between in yesterday's episode. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner, and thankfully we have continued our good run of form here, which has to be fair, been going for most of the season at Cardiff City, backing up that win against Stoke in the second game of yesterday's episode with big ones over them again, as well as Blackpool, and then we just escaped from Wigan with a 1-0 win thanks to an injury time goal to Keonatite. To be fair, that was probably a fair result, because in terms of stats for that game, we were well and truly on top. So thankfully, did get all 3 points out of that one. And as also mentioned in that intro, that has meant that our gap on top of the Championship has actually been extended now out to 10 points over Sunderland, and now quite a big gap back to those teams in the playoff zone of 15 points. Surely we won't find a way in the remaining 16 games to throw away automatic promotion up to the Premier League. It would be disappointing enough if we did not win the Championship from this position, but thankfully we have started to get a few players back from injury as we are heading in to these next couple of games, albeit there are a couple more who have got injured, but the players who have returned recently, as you can see over on the right hand side, are the likes of Davison Savino, Connor Coventry, Urhog Hyde recovered from a little niggle, and also Serhal Galasai has recovered but isn't quite fit enough to be starting as of this stage. Might be alright for that FA Cup game in the second one of today's episode. But if I quickly hide my head, you will see a few more injuries that we are having to deal with. Alice Mateju's picked up quite a long virus, is out for 2 weeks off the back of this game that we are about to play, and also Malin Jacquelis in our most recent league game picked up an orange injury, which we took him off for quite soon. It was actually pulled knee ligaments. He is going to be out for 4 to 8 days, so is going to be missing for both of the games in today's episode. So not as many injuries as we did have, but does still mean we are having to shuffle our team around just a little bit at the moment. As you can see there with the starting lineup we are going to play in this upcoming game, and also with some players being quite tired as well in terms of their match load and their injury susceptibility. But first up today, we do take on West Brom in the Championship, a team who have been doing quite well ever since they did sack Shaun. They did actually grab a point from us away from home earlier on in the season, just off the back of that sacking of Shaun. It was then a bit of a disappointing result, but since then they have been in quite good form. So hopefully back at home we can do a better job here and maybe even extend our lead a little bit further on that Championship table, and hopefully give us a nice little boost going into deadline day, where, as I said, it probably depends if we do sell someone, if we do bring someone else in, because here are all the players who are wanting to leave the club at the moment, Sterling, Mateju, Pedersen and Ditter, but our current transfer budget, not very big. We can't really bring anyone in, so we are going to have to sell before we can buy someone on deadline day, so we'll see what does happen over the course of that, or if we just skip it completely, because I'm not too sure before I do play this game at the moment, but we'll come back shortly and see what happens in the Loan Championship game of today's episode, the last one of January, where hopefully we can go through the month unbeaten as we take on West Brom from Cardiff City Stadium. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. In terms of us, there is a bit going on. Perry, Ing and Pahadi at right back due to injury susceptibility. Also Nelson for McGuinness for the same reason. Connor Coventry is back in the defensive midfield. And with both of our starting wingers being a bit of a risk at the moment, ZIANI will start at right wing, the young signing who we did make at the start of the season, to be third choice striker, and Gordon out on the left wing, and hopefully we can pick up all 3 points here at home against West Brom. And just shy of the 15-minute mark, we get our first highlight in this one, although it is a free kick to West Brom, but thankfully we just do enough there to win the ball down that right-hand side so far. Certainly the better team in terms of stats, but no highlights as of yet. But Gordon now makes his way down that left-hand side, puts the ball into the mixer, which Broom can't quite get his head on, and now West Brom do get a chance here to play out from the back, but thankfully Urhog Hyde is there to head that one into our defensive midfield. Nice work there from Marco Blun. Will take on the shot he scored from a pretty similar distance in that most recent game against Stoke, but this time misses the target, and still 0-all at the 20-minute mark. And just past the half-hour mark, we do have our next highlight in this one. Still well and truly on top in terms of stats, but as of now, no reward for that. And West Brom here yet again are going to try and play out from the back, but good work there from Rowles. It looks like a 3-on-2. ZIANI will get a shot off. 40 might get his first senior goal for the club, but it will go down as an own goal there by Dara O'Shea for West Brom. So I guess that shot was going off target, but good work there initially from Joe Rowles. And from there, it was Brun, Rowles and ZIANI all in on goal on that right-hand side. But thankfully, that shot might have been going wide. A good little kind deflection there to give us a 1-0 lead. And that is half-time in this one. Just those two highlights. And thankfully, we did grab that goal 10 minutes shy of half-time, even though it was an own goal. But some good work there from Rowles to get us on the front foot inside of West Brom's half. We are going to make some changes, though. Just want to take off some players who might be a little bit injury prone and tired by the looks of it. So Pedersen can come on for Coventry due to that yellow card, but also Goodmanson and Colwell. Their yellow hearts are a little bit deep for half-time, so we'll bring on Sterling and Molinas for those two at half-time. So we're going to use 3 of our subs, but pretty happy with how things are going. We'll get things back underway with that 1-0 lead. And only a couple of minutes into the second half, we do have the first highlight as a throw-in our favour, and Sterling finds Brum with a good long throw there. Brum wins it back. Might be a good chance for us here. ZIANI gets off a shot, but unfortunately that's blocked. And it is still 1-0 Cardiff early in the second half, but not too long off the back of that opening highlight. Sterling having to retreat and do some work there to make sure West Brom do not get a chance, but thankfully we start to settle things down, and Rowles will play that one back to Urhog Hyde as we try and play our way out from the back. And now Sterling starts to make some ground down that left-hand side before passing it back to the centre-back. And now we hopefully get on the front foot a little bit more. Pedersen now starts to make his way forward, coming off the bench in this one. And now we find Perry Ing. Nice ball there for ZIANI. It's a header over the goalkeeper. And Zakaria ZIANI, signing at the start of the season as a third choice striker, gets his first goal for Cardiff City, and it's a very well timed one as well in terms of the weight on that header over the goalkeeper. Good work there from Ing to find him, and a very nice loft that uses his head, and that is a good finish into that bottom left corner, and that gives us a 2-0 lead very early on here in the second half. And up to the hour mark, we're going to make another change at this time. We can take off Gordon, I think, here. He is only on a 6.5. I think Marco Blum, we might switch into that left wing role because he is playing quite well at the moment. And we will bring on a Tete for Gordon. And that will be our little shuffle up front with a half hour to go and off the back of grabbing that 2-0 lead. And with about 15 minutes to go in this one, we'll just check out our squad. And Joe Rowles has gone down to a Red Hearts of Galasai on the bench. We won't use him today, but Dida can come on 4 rails, and that will mean that Nelson can go forward into that defensive midfield role. That's all of our subs used with that 2-0 lead, with not long left in this one. And just entering the last 10 minutes of this game, there is a corner here for West Brom. A little bit concerning because Ditter, not the best centre-back in the air, hence why I haven't played him too much. But that was a good chance there for West Brom, but I think either Mexado or the post came to our rescue there, and we can't quite do anything on the counter-attack. But we do start to enter the last few minutes of this one with that 2-0 lead. As we now make our way inside these last 3 minutes, it does look like we are going to hold on for a 2-0 win, albeit yet another corner here to West Brom, exactly the same side as well as that previous one, where they did go quite close, but thankfully this time Marco Blun does head that one away. Diang plays that one in for Mowat, and Ajayi puts the ball in the mix of the air, but thankfully trying to pick out that top right corner, it does go over the bar, and with 4 minutes of added time, a late yellow card there to Ki Onatede, but thankfully in the end, that was a pretty comfortable win, largely contributed by Zakaria ZIANI. His shot was deflected for that own goal in the first half, and then a well-timed chip with his head over the goalkeeper, even though I'm pretty sure the commentary said he didn't mean to do that. Pretty sure he did, because it was pretty much straight bang down the middle of the goal from that angle he did go from, and his contribution makes sure that we do pick up all 3 points in this one. And as you can see, albeit with teams like Sheffield United still having a game in hand, maybe they had a late kickoff, but we extend our gap on those playoff teams to 18 points, and there's only 15 games left in the season. You'd like to think that automatic promotion to the Premier League should be pretty close to guaranteed at this point, and especially with that being our last game in the month of January in the Championship, and with the FA Cup coming up next against Birmingham, who, as you can see, are right down there just inside that relegation zone. So hopefully we can pick up a win and make our way through to the 5th round of that competition. But before then, we'll come back and hopefully, if something happens, give you guys an update on what's going on January deadline day. And we are back at the end of January deadline day, and we did absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, none of those players who were transfer listed got any attention at all from other teams, at least for a decent price. So it does mean our squad pretty much the same as it was going into deadline day and back at the close of the previous transfer window. Our under-21s manager did make a signing though, and he could be a centre-back who does actually jump above someone like Willard Ditter in terms of our rankings to being the 4th choice centre-back. And that was this player, Charlie Higgins. We got him on a free transfer after previously being with the Columbus Crew over in the MLS at 19 years old. Looks quite decent with 17 jumping reach, 1.91 metres tall, and that 3-star current ability and 4-star potential. So might be a player who does see a little bit of first-team football for the rest of the season. Quite a good get there by our assistant and under-21s manager to get that one over the line for us late in the transfer window. But that's the only real notable thing that we did do during this transfer window in the latter part, and really quiet day for us there with no interest in those players that we were trying to get rid of. But maybe of interest might be the wage expenditure in the EFL Championship. Despite how well we are doing on the table, in terms of the wage, as you can see, quite a way down. We're certainly not in the bottom half of things, but only spending £450,000 a week on player wages. As you can see, that does pale in comparison to what some of those teams coming down from the Premier League recently have done, in particular Everton with their £1.7 million a week being paid on player wages. But unfortunately, not much happening for us there on deadline day, but it does mean that we can pretty much get straight back in to the on-field action, as we are going to take on Birmingham in the 4th round of the FA Cup. They are a team just inside that relegation zone, albeit a few points for them to try and get out of it. And as you can see, they come into this one in a bit of a rough patch of form. 3 losses from their last 4 games, as well as a draw against Rotherham. So certainly this is a game, even though it's away from home, I am expecting us to be winning. And with that in mind, I'm going to rotate the team just a little bit in terms of some players who might need a rest before our next couple of games in the Championship, and we'll come back shortly and run you through those changes as we take on Birmingham from St Andrews. And here are the team sheets for this FA Cup clash. There are Birmingham playing the same formation as we are. We have actually made quite a few changes. Hine comes in goal, being the cup goalkeeper. Sterling at left back. We've got Pedersen for Rels and DM, Molinas for Colwell in the cam. We've got ZIANI still at right wing with Galasai, only recommended for 45 minutes. And also a Tide comes in for Marco Brun. So hopefully, despite all those changes, we can still make our way through to the next round. And it's taken us half an hour to get the first highlight in this game today. We are in our light whitey pink uniforms. It is Birmingham in the blue being at home. But so far, this has been a very quiet game. Hopefully, that does change soon with this highlight taking place. And it does look like we might get on the front foot. ZIANI will float one here into the mixer. Robinson will hit it down. It's saved. Molinas takes a bit of a dive, I think. Nero gets brought down, but thankfully, Tite still pokes that home. And we do grab a 1-0 lead. And thankfully that was the case, because it looked like there for a minute we might absolutely butcher that. Still not sure if that might have been a penalty if Tite did not put that in the back of the net. Commentator having a rough one today, was blaming ZIANI not trying to put the ball in the net for that previous goal in the game that was scored. And there Rooney stupidly gave the ball away apparently, but we do grab a 1-0 lead just past the half-hour mark. And off the back of adjusting a few opposition instructions, we do get a highlight here from the restart, so hopefully we do not concede an instant equaliser. And Rooney, the stupid man, apparently does put that ball back in to his fellow defenders, and Birmingham here doing a decent job of holding on to it, playing out from the back. But hopefully we can win the ball back here and might get a chance to make it 2-0, albeit Obafemi there, too much pace for our defence, but then Hine with a good touch on that one to make sure that we can clear it out for a corner. So thankfully Hine there comes up with a big save coming in for these cup games. It's been a while since he's had a bit of game time with us getting dumped out so early in the Carabao Cup, but thankfully it does look like we are going to deal hopefully with that corner, and we do eventually through Hardy, and we keep hold of our 1-0 lead with 10 minutes left in this first half. And that is half time in this fourth round FA Cup clash. Not much happening in that first half, but thankfully we did grab a goal at the half-hour mark through Tite, which does mean we just hold a lead here away from home. In terms of our players, most of them doing actually quite well, despite the fact we're not quite playing as well as we have done over the last few games. So hopefully that improves a little bit during the second half. We'll keep the same starting 11 out there as we get the second half underway with that 1-0 lead. And once again, it's only taken us a few minutes to get our first highlight here in the second half, and Birmingham do win that ball back off the back of that clearance from Carl Jacob Hine, and Rooney finds himself in quite a bit of space here down that right-hand side, being marked well for now, but we'll find Bakuna, who starts to make his way inside the box. Good hit of that from Mackay, but just goes the wrong side of the crossbar after hitting it, and we still hold our 1-0 lead. And going forward to the hour mark, we get our next highlight in this one. It is a free kick to Birmingham inside of our half. They square that one for Bakuma. Obafemi, good one too between those guys, but hopefully Hine can come up yet again with a save, and he does so far, having quite a good game from these chances we have seen for Birmingham off the back of us grabbing that lead in the first half. The corner we do deal with, I think Robinson though overruns that a bit, so they might get a chance here to put the ball back in the mixer, but thankfully we eventually deal with that and do hold on to our 1-0 lead. And while we are here, off the back of Sterling picking up a yellow card, we'll also make some subs. Goodmanson can come on for him, and just looking at other players on a bit of an average rating and who might need a rest. In fact, Galasai can play about 45 minutes at the moment, so it might not be the worst idea to get him on off of the bench, and we'll see if we can extend this lead in this last 25 minutes. And 5 minutes off the back of those changes, we do have a corner here in our favour, but unfortunately Molinas cannot link up with anyone. And Birmingham here might get a chance on the counter-attack as Obafemi finds some space down that right-hand side, plays that one back to Colin. But we're yet to put this game to bed so far, which is a little bit disappointing, albeit Goodmanson there with a good press does get Birmingham back inside of their own half, but yet again they find their way around the halfway line and might now look to switch this left-hand side where they have a ton of space there through Grant. And then Hardy misses the tackle. It goes inside the mixer, takes a deflection, and Obafemi will bundle that one home. It's a bit of an unfortunate goal to concede, albeit you could say the same for that one that we scored in the first half. And with around 20 minutes left in this one, Birmingham have grabbed an equaliser, and to be fair, feels like it has been coming off the back of us grabbing that lead, but unfortunately but Obafemi puts that one in the back of the net, and we have 18 minutes here to try and make sure this one does not go to a replay. And with that in mind, we might make our last couple of substitutions and bring on some first teamers in Ralph for Patterson and also Ruben Colwell for Milanos. And hopefully those guys can get us over the line here in this fourth round FA Cup clash. And just about into the last 5 minutes of this one, we have two players out there on red hearts, and also Coventry as one of them has just picked up a yellow card. We'll just check on the penalty taking attributes of these players who we could bring off of the bench to replace those ones. But I think Coventry with that yellow card, probably the smarter option. And in terms of penalty taking, he is quite good. Renamotta with 10, so I think he will come on for the latter stages of this one, is a better penalty taker than Coventry. And also we might, while we're here, just put a few of our players on a slightly more positive mentality with their role. So Colwell will go on to an attacking midfielder on attack. Rails can go into a DM on support, and we'll also move to a positive mentality and hopefully get ourselves over the line late in this one, as we are still locked up 1-1 with only a few minutes left, and we'll see what does happen in the closing stages of this one as we start to make our way towards injury time. And there is a free kick here which Ruben Colwell is taking his time over. This would be some introduction off of the bench for Ruben, who's been one of our better players here so far this season. Tries to put it top right corner, but the goalkeeper not really too bothered about that by the looks of it. And it does remain 1-1 as we now have a free kick for Birmingham, so there could be a bit going on late in this one. And they do keep the ball. Shaun will find Mackay. Yet again, Grant finds space down that left-hand side. Mackay puts that into the mixer, and Michael Obafemi grabs a double. Very similar to that first goal they scored, but that time no deflection. And off the back of that, we are going to have to go a bit more attacking and also put our wing backs onto attack, and as well as that, be a bit more direct in terms of our passing, go wider, be more expressive, and also move our defensive line up a bit higher. But we've only got 2 minutes now to try and avoid what would be a bit of an upset in the FA Cup, considering how the championship has been going this season. But nice ball there from Mackay and Obafemi yet again. Too much pace there for Urhoghide by the looks of it. And we have very little time now to try and turn this around, albeit we do get a highlight from the restart and hopefully can get on the front foot nice and early. Goodmanson, long ball over the top. Robinson gets his head to it, but unfortunately one of the Birmingham defenders is there to tidy things up. But McGuinness will win that back for us. Now Renamotta will just do enough to keep that. Some quite good work from him. Squares that one into the midfield for Rails. Gather side there for Colwell. He goes down, and Keona Tete will bundle that home yet again. Might have been a penalty shout there if we didn't put it away, but thankfully we do take this one 2-2 all, and it might mean we do get a replay back at our home stadium, which isn't the worst thing, I suppose. Absolute cluster in there late, but thankfully the ball did fall for a Tete. He pokes it home, and right off the back of going behind, we do make it 2-2, and that will be the result in this fourth round clash in the FA Cup. It does mean we are going to have to play a replay against Birmingham, but it is back at our home ground, and maybe we should put out some stronger players for that one off the back of a bit of a poor performance, it is fair to say, against the team who are down in the relegation zone in the championship. But at least we do make our way through to a replay as a big upset result there. Right up the top is Rotherham, knock out Arsenal, so maybe not too bad of a result there, as it does look like this year some big teams have been knocked out a little bit there in that round of the FA Cup. But Birmingham force a replay off the back of a 2-2 draw for us at their home stadium. And we've gone forward a few clicks off the back of that draw in the second game of today's episode, just in case we do make our way through to the fifth round of the FA Cup. If we do get past Birmingham in that replay at home, which I suppose you'd expect, we would take on Bournemouth from the Premier League in the fifth round of the FA Cup, and they currently not doing too badly there either, in 14th, a team who not too long ago were on the search for a new manager, doing better than the likes of Brentford, Burnley, Leicester, Brighton, Blackburn and Southampton at the moment. So certainly a team who we need to respect, but we did beat teams like that last season in the FA Cup. But first things first, we do need to get past Birmingham, albeit, as I said, I'd like to think that is something that we can do, but that will do it for today's episode. Unfortunately, nothing happening on deadline day, which is a little bit annoying. But apart from that, we picked up a good win in the championship against West Brom. Got a very good gap now over the playoff teams on the league table, and also that draw with that late goal to Keon Tete to make sure that one goes to a replay against Birmingham in the 4th round of the FA Cup. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well tomorrow for the last episode, I believe, of the week. It's hard to remember now because I've gotten ahead a little bit. We might actually come back and do that replay of the 4th round of the FA Cup, because otherwise the teams that we are playing in February don't look overly inviting, because teams like Swansea struggling these days. We've already played them a fair bit since we have come to Cardiff, and teams like Watford and Nottingham not doing as well as they were earlier in the season. So I think we'll come back for Birmingham, and we might see off the back of that if we do make our way through to the 5th round of the FA Cup, because we could bring in that clash with Bournemouth as well. And if we do get beaten by Birmingham, I suppose we can show you guys the trip to Watford, as that could be a tough one in the championship as well. But at the moment, it does look like it is pretty long odds for us to stuff things up and not get automatic promotion up to the Premier League. But tomorrow might be a bit of an FA Cup themed episode, as long as we get the job done against Birmingham in the first one of those games. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.